Hello everyone, it is Misterstubstep, and in today's video we'll be doing a value discussion on Sun and Moon Shining Legends. So this was the first holiday or special set of the Sun and Moon series of sets, whatever you want to call it. But it's, that more exclusive set that you can't find in booster box form. So normally, I'd slowly go down this Excel list and all of that, but this set only contains 78 cards. So only 18 cards are worth over $1. So you can actually pretty much see the entire Excel sheet right here in this one screenshot. So, like always, I'll have the link down below to these spreadsheets, and as well you can see the other tabs and explore those other sets. If you haven't seen them already, I do have deeper discussions on each of those sets in previous videos, but we're going in chronological order with the Sun and Moon series of sets. So we're on Shining Legends today. So its release date was 5 October 2017. So, definitely over 3 years ago now. Base card total is only 73, which is pretty common. This low number of cards in the set is pretty common for these special sets. Secret rare total is 5, so not a lot of secret rares, which is really nice. So only 78 total cards within the set. So I say it's very easy to get a complete set, and then probably pretty feasible to get a master set of this as well, even though nowadays the cards are getting quite expensive. So I have the timestamps down below. If you want to skip this intro, I'm going to do a little intro on the spreadsheet like I always do, but I'll have it broken up down in the description. So just explaining this Excel document, starting in the top left, we have the card, pretty self-explanatory, the name of the card, and if it's italicized, I actually have that card in my collection, so just a little note for myself. Rarity, pretty self-explanatory. In this set, we do have the Shiny Holo Rare, which, if I'm correct, has not been, a Shining card has not been in any set since, Neo Destiny, Neo Revelation, up to this point. Then you see the raw prices on TCG Player. That's just based on the market value, and I round down to the nearest dollar. And that's as of 7 January in that little blue in the top right. And basically, if you want to do this, you can go on to tcgplayer.com, either on your phone or on a web browser. If you're on your phone, just type in tcgplayer.com, go to the top left, click on that 3 vertical lines. It looks like a menu button. Go down to Pokemon, then click Price Guide, and then from there you can just kind of sort and pick whichever set you want to look at for value. And then if you're on a browser, you can just literally click on the Pokemon drop down on the front page of the website and click Price Guide from there. So that market price, it's basically, based on sales that are, it's basically an average sold price of that card. So it can range from on condition, but I think it's a really easy just go-to price to go off of as far as raw ungraded cards go. And then we move into the graded section, and luckily Shining Legends is a very tradable, sellable, buyable, popular set even today, and I think people are more and more every day realizing how collectible the set truly is. So it was really easy to find PSA 10s for this set, unlike some of the previous sets that I've talked about. The sold price is essentially the last sold price on eBay, and I round up, and I don't include shipping because that can vary, if you're international or wherever you're at. So just the basic price. I realize that if you're paying whatever you bid on it or whatever the best offer is plus shipping, then you think that's what the card is worth to that person that bought it. But it's subjective, so I just left it to what the bare price was. And I actually figured out how to look up, or potentially look up, what if it was sold for best offer, but then the price was crossed out, and it was sold for a different value. I actually figured out how to look into the source code or whatever and look up the price. I might do a tutorial if anybody wants to know that in the future. So that's always nice, because a lot of times I'd find a card that was sold recently. I didn't have any issues with Shining Legends, but I would find a card and be like, oh, it was sold, but then best offer was accepted, and you have no idea how much it actually sold for because they were asking for $1,000 when the card's only worth $100. So it's a huge range to look at. Date of sale, really recent sale dates for all these cards, which is really nice. I mean, I don't think there's anything later than December here for all these cards in a PSA 10, which if you have these cards graded in a PSA 10, you have a card that is easily movable, at least in the current state that this video is being made in. And then, because the set is so short, and as these videos go on, I'm going to try to add more and more information to keep you guys informed and just to fuel this discussion. The PSA 10 population, so basically it's a fraction. The number on the left shows how many 10s there are, and the number on the right shows how many cards have been graded and registered with PSA. So that doesn't include any cards from other services, but because it is the most common, and just going back in history, PSA is just the most historically used grading system for Pokemon cards. Who knows what will happen in the future? Maybe CGC, BGS, SGC, GMA, or something else will just fully take over. But as of right now, PSA is just the easiest one to, touch as many people as possible. See that as of 7 January 21, so that's where I got these prices from. So, I mean, the most recent sold date you see is 6 January. And then you have potential profit. And then I just have the color coordination, which is pretty self-explanatory there, because you guys can actually see all the colors on this one screen. So, now we will actually begin the discussion on this set. So, I'm hoping this should be a slightly shorter video than like the normal, 20 minutes, but who knows, because these cards are fairly collectible, it might be just as long. So, going down the list, we have Zoroark GX, which is all ultra rares or higher in this set were over $1. So, one honorable mention was Bulbasaur, which that Pokemon card is not, it's just a common card, I believe, but it's actually approaching $1 for the raw price for it. So I think it's highly collectible, and it's a cute little Bulbasaur card. I do like Bulbasaur the best out of all the original 3 starters, so, it holds a little place in my heart. So Zoroark GX, over $50. So the first GX sold for over $50, and it doesn't look too hard to grade. The biggest thing when you're looking at these PSA 10 populations is you're looking at how many cards are graded and then what percentage of them are actually getting 10s. Because most people, if they're getting so deep into where they're actually grading cards, like, I would hope they've done a little bit of research. And most people aren't going to send cards in that they don't think are going to get at least a 9 or a 10 or have a chance at a 10. So unless like it holds sentimental value to me, like I send up some pretty beat up cards because they mean a lot to me, and they're probably going to get like 1s or 2s or something. But those are the only reasons I would send in cards that I don't think would get a 10 or at least a 9. So, to me, that just says out of, 467 cards, 201, which is definitely over 50%, like it's probably, doing math in my head, probably closer to like 75%, are coming back at 10. So, it's definitely not a hard card to grade, and surprisingly, there's been a decent amount graded. But Entei GX is actually the lowest price on this one, which is kind of surprising, because normally the GX cards, if they're like a more popular Pokemon, like a legendary or something, because the GX is normally a unique artwork, it sells for a little bit more, but I guess Entei just isn't as popular. And then Raichu GX, this is just another regular ultra rare that you've probably pulled a bunch of. I actually haven't pulled one, so, but it sold for 80, which is honestly not that bad. And looking at the fraction, it does not look too hard to grade either, and it sold very recently, just a few days ago at the time of filming this video, so that's not that bad. And it's also pays homage to, the original, well, I guess the second set that had Shining cards, because they did have a Shining Raichu in that set as well, so it's kind of cool that it pays homage to that. Pokemon Breeder Full Art, the only Full Art trainer in the set, and I'm going to be honest with you, this is not the Full Art, this is not the collectible Full Art trainer, like, I forgot that Pokemon Breeder wasn't even in this set as a full art, and I'm gonna be honest, it's not breaking down any barriers. It's not breaking down any barriers, and it's not even too hard to grade either. Entei GX full art. So I was thinking this card wasn't gonna be selling for that much, but it is, and it's not bad. I don't think Entei has a shiny form within Hidden Fates, so that might be what maintains its full art price a little bit, because normally if you have a shiny variant, which is another full art form besides the rainbow or the secret rare, it'll make the full art go down in price. But I mean, full art Entei with the red in the background, I mean, it looks pretty neat if you're a fan of the legendary dogs. And then the Mewtwo GX, the deepest just regular GX that we have here. I mean, it makes sense. This set is pretty much all about Mewtwo and the shining cards, and Mewtwo, I don't know if he's the most popular legendary ever, but he's definitely up there as one of the most popular legendary. His regular ultra rare card sold for $145 at a PSA 10. And it's over 50% for grading a 10 too, so it's not that difficult to grade. I mean, it's a little bit harder than some of the previous ones that we talked about, but it's not bad. And $145 at a PSA 10 mid-December, that's not bad. And I have this card, so it made me want to look at mine, but I think the back of my card had some like really light but noticeable scratching on it, which is weird on the back of the card. Mewtwo GX Full Art actually sold for less, but this one actually makes sense because there's the shiny variant, or the secret variant, and then the secret shining variant, and then the shiny variant that's different in Hidden Fates. So it's kind of an overused artwork. But, you know, if you like the pink/purple with Mewtwo because it's a psychic type, then it can kind of work too. And it's over 50% to grade a 10 as well. Shining Volcanion. So the first Shining that we have on the list. So raw, it's the cheapest, but it actually sells for a decent amount at $148. And it's actually below 50% on grading for 10, so it might be slightly harder. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that want to get full PSA 10 of the Shining, you know, Shining Legends, or if they want to get all the Shinings for all Pokemon cards and all sets, then this is definitely a card that they're going to need. You definitely see the number go up where it's almost close to 1,000 that have been graded, so it's definitely a popular card for collectors. So I know a lot of people might see, oh, that number's so high, so it's not worth it. But, I mean, a lot of those original, you know, WotC sets, like a lot of them have a ton of their cards graded as well. And these numbers aren't even including all of the massive submissions that are currently sitting at PSA right now. And then Shining Genesect, which is the only Shining that I've pulled from this set, sadly enough. And it only sold for $115, which when I say only, it's just comparative to the rest of the set. Because, I mean, all these cards, they sell for a really good amount. Like, only one card under 50, that's not bad at all. But Shining Genesect, I mean, Shining Genesect and Volcanion, they're both just, I mean, they're mythicals, so you don't really get to play with them too much in the game unless you hack or, you know, if you watch, like, movies or something with them. So they don't get as much screen time. I don't think a lot of people just use or know them that well. So not as popular. And it looks to be a little bit easier to grade than, or I guess about the same to grade for the Volcanion. I mean, they're just hollow Pokemon cards, so you know, they don't have as much hollow foil to worry about. And we go to Zoroark GX, the first secret rare on this list, which I actually have this one as well, and I wasn't planning on grading it for the longest time because I'm like, Zoroark, you know, it's just very forgettable. I don't know if any of y'all thought this, but I always thought Zoroark was a legendary Pokemon, but then I learned that it wasn't, and I was very confused because the way that was advertised gave it legendary vibes, but it's definitely not. So yeah, Zoroark GX 170, not too bad. Fairly easy to grade, over 50% pass rate for a 10. Shining Arceus. So this one is just one that I completely forgot about, and I don't know how, because it's a really cool looking card. And it's our first green, $220, and it sold yesterday at the time of filming this video, and less than 50% have graded a 10. So I guess this is one of the harder ones to grade, or, you know, it's still relatively easy, but it's still one of the harder ones to grade. So if you were to send, you know, 2 or 3 in, you'd statistically get 1 or 2 back if you thought they would get 10s. So it's pretty interesting. And then Shining Jirachi, $305. That is not bad. Also sold very recently. It makes me think like all of this was through the same seller or something. I should have made that connection. But this one is also less than 50%. And this one is another one that's been submitted over 1,000 times to PSA to this point, which definitely, if you have a Shining Jirachi, I mean, you're sitting on a little something. And then we got a couple more secret rares in Raichu and Entei, so pretty much expected that it almost seems like these Shining cards and these Mewtwo cards in this set kind of brought all the other cards in the set up with them. Because I feel like if this Raichu or Entei were in, like, other sets, I mean, I get it, Raichu's, you know, the evolution of the mascot, but generally, like, Raichu isn't the hottest card ever. Like, there's definitely cards hotter. And then Entei GX, besides it being a fire type, you know, I don't think it's one of the more, I don't know which dog is the most popular. I would want to say that Suicune is, but maybe Raikou, maybe Entei, I'm not sure. But yeah, I feel like Lugia and Ho-Oh from Generation 2 definitely do a lot better in the long run, and Celebi, than the legendary dogs do. But that's just me. But obviously by these prices and this sales data recently, they're definitely collectible. Shining Rayquaza. So arguably between this and the Mew, the best, you know, Shining within this set. I personally think it's the Mew because the Mew is just such a beautiful artwork, just so pure. Just, it's like, I would say it's one of the top 5 Pokemon cards that have been ever made. Like, it's just beautiful. And I don't even have one. I wish I did. But Shining Rayquaza, beautiful looking card. It just reminds me of, or I guess the recent Amazing Rare Rayquaza that came out in Vivid Voltage just immediately reminded me of the Shining Rayquaza. I mean, it's not the same color because Shining is black and then the Amazing is green, but Rayquaza is actually the only legendary Pokemon that I've ever, what do you call it, soft resetted for. I did it in either Ultra, yeah, one of the Wormhole games. I think it was Ultra Moon. I soft resetted for it, and I got it, I think, after only like 60 or 80 something resets, and I got my Shining Rayquaza like legitimate. So that one always holds a special place in my heart. One day I'll purchase it. And 1,500 have been sent in for grading, and only 610 came out a 10. So it's one of the harder ones to grade. Or maybe just a lot of people sent them in, and yeah, they got really excited when they pulled it. Shining Mew, the second most expensive at a PSA 10 in this set, which I'm actually not surprised at all. It's just a beautiful card. I wish I could see, you know, when I edit this in post, where I have like photos of all the cards. I wish I could look at it right now just to admire it, but it's the most graded. I put it in bold that 2,085 have been submitted, so probably it's not the highest selling card in this set, but I would say it is the most collectible card in this set. It's just amazing. It's beautiful. Definitely less than 50% of, I mean, looking at that, it's, you know, and yeah, it's less than 50% have been graded to 10, so a little bit harder than some of the other cards in this set. Then Mewtwo GX Secret Rare. So this one, it's the second most expensive raw in the set, but it's the third most expensive sold at a PSA 10. You know, once again, they're worth what people want to pay for it. I'm just going off of recent sales data. These aren't like averages or anything. It's literally just the most recent sold listing and on eBay. And Mewtwo GX, I think it's a really cool card. Like Mewtwo, like a lot of cards sometimes in the rainbow form, like I feel like they lose a lot of their luster, but for some reason, just the pose that Mewtwo is in, like the rainbow just almost enhances it. And I think because Mewtwo's natural colors are similar to the rainbow, it just works really well as well in the secret rare form. So this is definitely another card that I'm going to have to get, because eventually I want to get a master set of this set, because I have pulled the most expensive card in this set, which we will go to next. And only 638 of the Rainbow Mewtwo have been graded, so it's interesting. I'm sure there's just as many of those as there are other ones out there. Or maybe it's because it's a rainbow, it's a little bit harder to pull, but then you go to one down below and you see one that's been graded 2017 times. Oh, 2017 when it first came out, and 2017 are registered. Look at that, what a coincidence. So the Mewtwo GX Secret Shining, $74 raw, 455 at a PSA 10. So this one is actually very well known for being difficult to grade a 10, but when I look at the fraction, I'm like, oh, maybe it's not that hard, because 893 came out of 10. So to me, that's not horrible. I mean, in comparison, you got, you know, base set first edition Charizard that has 121 now PSA 10s, and that's extremely, you know, rare. But then you have other cards that only have less than 10 in a PSA 10. So it's definitely a balance between how collectible it is, how difficult it's to grade, how popular the card is, and etc. But definitely the number one card in this set currently. And I actually have two of these. I pulled one, and then Mystery pulled one in one of our pack battles. So the first one that I pulled way back, it probably will only get like an 8 or a 9, but the one that Mystery pulled, I think, is near perfect. It doesn't even have the infamous dots on the back, which I was really surprised about. So overall, very collectible set. If you can get your hands on any of these cards nowadays, like, I highly recommend it, because they're just beautiful, and they're just really difficult to find, especially the sealed product. I mean, earlier not this year, but earlier in 2020, like in the spring, I was still finding Raichu GX. I was still finding Raichu GX boxes. Sorry about that email. Just in stores and all that stuff. And now there's nothing. Like, they're all off the streets. So, just looking down at some summary at the bottom. We have just averages of the past 4 sets from Sun and Moon. So, GX cards sold for way more. These are just average PSA 10 prices, and all of these sold in a PSA 10, so it was really easy. I can include all these numbers. $81, so the highest out of all the last 4 sets, even beating Burning Shadows. Full Arts, $97, and beating Sun and Moon base. And then there's no Shining Holo Rares in any of the other sets, so $241. On average, if you get a Shining pull from this set and it's in immaculate condition, you're going to average about, you know, $200 for selling it, if your plan is to sell it. And then Secret Rares, it can't quite beat Burning Shadows, because you got a freaking Charizard in the thousands, but it's solid at $255 on average for Secret Rares. But granted, there's only 18 cards, or the number at the bottom, 18 cards over $1 in this set, so it's a lot less of a sample size to really pull numbers one way or another. So that's definitely something to keep in consideration. By far, out of the 4 sets that we've talked about, Shining Legends just as a whole is the most collectible set. And then just some other interesting averages over here in the bottom right. We have, I just looked up some stuff for a master set for a master set sold for $465 on 19 December of last year, which I thought it was kind of interesting. But if you look at the raw prices, it actually does make complete sense. It's definitely more than Guardians Rising or Sun and Moon Base, but Burning Shadows, I mean, the Charizard alone is like $300 something raw, and so it makes sense why that one would sell for $700. Average booster pack, $15. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to know what it's like when I get to Hidden Fates by the time I get there. Who knows? Even though they just had a reprint of the Elite Trainer boxes. And then the Elite Trainer box, because there's probably not going to be another reprint, they're sitting nice at $212. So if you happen to hold on to one of those, you know, with the Ho-Oh on the outside, it's not bad. And I figured I would look up how much a shiny set sold for, and it includes all the shinings that I have listed in this Excel document, as well as the promos that came out about the same time as this set that are shining, which includes the Lugia, Celebi, and Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh can come from Elite Trainer boxes, and then the Lugia and Celebi came from some of the premium collection boxes. I don't include promos in these because I might just do another series of videos down the line where I actually go in depth on promos, but it's just like, I don't want to have to, you know, figure out which ones came out during which times. Like, it just makes sense to do the actual sets and then do promos separately, at least to me. But I included this because I think it was an interesting sales number at 420. Sold very recently for all the shinings, just like these shinings. So I thought that was very interesting. So I'll go into a quick summary of what I think overall about the set. Obviously, I'm not coming from a position of expertise or anything. I just straight up do this research to save you guys a couple hours of, you know, looking up each of these individual cards. If you find anything, or if you see anything on this list that's noteworthy, then you yourself can go do more research on that individual card that you have already. And, you know, after this video is posted, like, these numbers are going to be completely different anyway. So it's really just a snapshot, and and then it just allows you to kind of guess at what will be really noteworthy down the line. So in summary, once again, I'm going to split it up into 3 tiers. So I'm going to have bottom tier, mid tier, and top tier collectible items from this set, or collectible cards from this set. So starting with the bottom tier, the Mewtwo GX, and then the Mewtwo GX Full Art, as well as the Shiny Volcanion and Genesect, and then the Raichu GX. So these aren't cards that I would, you know, bend over backwards to, you know, obtain, unless, you know, of course, you're just going for completion. But if you have these cards, they're definitely worth, you know, while, or you have a few copies of them, they're definitely worthwhile keeping in the long run. Because if you want to just see a perfect parallel, you know, you can look to Neo Destiny and see some of the more undesirable shinings within that set, like the Shiny Noctowl or Shiny Steelix. You know, they still hold decent value, but they weren't, you know, the super mega hitters within that set. But they still hold decent value because of people that want those complete sets. So if you have them, especially in a PSA 10, they're only going to go up. Are they going to go up as fast as some of these other cards? No, but they're there, and that's why they're bottom tier. Mid tier, I have the Shining Arceus, and then the Zoroark and Entei Rainbow Rares. So once again, I wouldn't say these are something that you need to bend over backwards for, but they are a little bit pricier on average, and I think just in the long run, they will do slightly better than the cards aforementioned. And then finally, the top tier. This set just has so many top tiers. You have the Mewtwo GX, its Secret Rare, and its Secret Shining version within this set. You have Shining Mew, Rayquaza, and Jirachi. So I did slip in Jirachi into that little trio of Rayquaza and Mew, because I think Jirachi is just another Pokemon that, while it is mythical, I think it's a legendary Pokemon, at least for people that are adults and have disposable income nowadays. It's a Pokemon that we recognize, you know, and whether in the movies or through the video games, like it's a recognizable Pokemon, and it's cool. It's a star. I mean, you know, Mario got stars. Yeah, it's a star. So I think those cards, if you have any of those, luckily the only one that I have is the Secret Shining Mewtwo GX, and I have 2 of those, so definitely I have one currently getting graded, and then I'm gonna send the other one shortly to get graded. But yeah, this is a great set. I really wish this was like right when I got out of collecting, because I collected pretty much until the Neo stuff. Like, my last cards were just Neo Destiny. I never had any E-Series cards, and then I got a few random EX, like EX Sandstorm and EX Dragon. And then I just completely stopped collecting. And then I picked up collecting again with Evolutions, like a lot of people did, surprisingly. And I actually stopped right before Crimson Invasion, which is the set that we will be doing next. But this was my last set that I collected back in the day, and I wish I collected it more, knowing what I know now about it. But, you know, hindsight is 20/20. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave any feedback or any discussion points if you agree, disagree with any of the points that I made in this video, or maybe there's something in this set that you see that, you know, maybe nobody else sees, or if you're trying to keep it to yourself, that's fine too. All right, if this is your second video of mine, consider subscribing, and if, you know, you enjoy what you see, feel free to give it a like. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good one.